Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and a whole bunch of friends. Of course, I'm Mr. BoomStick, and Mag, you just got here, brother. Literally just through the door. I mean, it's crazy.
Buzzer beater, yeah.
Absolutely buzzer beater. Well, listen, we have an incredible show for you folks. We have two big topics. I got some VGC numbers that we're going to break down. Folks, believe it or not, Xbox is winning, especially in 2022. They're up. They're up over Sony. Now, you know, the question that's going to come into the conversation is it because Sony can't get enough PS5s onto the market, or is it because people actually are starting to find a lot of value in Xbox and are enjoying what's currently there? And of course, on the back end of the show, folks, again, we're going to have an adult conversation. I've said this publicly. It's in my advertising that I for tonight's show. Microsoft took it upon themselves to do what they consider to be a move that leaves a lot of room on the table for question. They decided that their June shows, their E3 shows, whatever it's going to be called next year, are going to focus on the 12 months ahead, meaning from June to June. This year, as Kay Asante has said on his show and Dutch has said on his show, and we've heard a lot of people have opinions on this wasn't a good year to do that because, quite frankly, they don't have nothing for 2022 outside of a few, big releases on a Game Pass. And again, not taking anything away from that, the value is still there, but they seem to sometimes overcorrect when they're criticized, and it drives me crazy as an Xbox fan that we have to still deal with this stuff. Like last year's show was perfect. It's a perfect 10 out of 10, and they knew that because we kept talking about it. This year's show, 8.5 out of 10 for me. Originally, I gave it an 8. I went up to half a point more, but there is still a way that Microsoft can satisfy all Xbox gamers. And that goes from casuals that only play, pick 'em up games and puts it down, or hardcore like everyone that's here in the chat. We got over 100 people already here. We're only 2 minutes in. You're hardcore, folks. Everyone that's here, you're hardcore. Everyone on this panel, hardcore. And I have a way that I think that they need to maybe steal an idea or two from Nintendo and Sony, something that Kay Asante has been talking about. Those two companies have stolen ideas from Microsoft left and right. And, maybe it's time for Microsoft to do, a state of play-esque presentation on a particular game. Pick one game, you put 13 to 15 minute footages, gameplay footage for everyone to see. You get a little opening, a little end, and everyone's happy. And of course, maybe a future games cast that shows us the future of the box. Kay Asante, first of all, welcome back to the program, brother. How are you? You're muted, brother. Uh-oh.
Forgive me. Yes, the mute button was not fast enough to be hit. Forgive me. I am doing great. I appreciate being here on the show and all the wonderful people already in the chat. The conversation's starting hot and heavy. Yes, it is going to be an interesting conversation tonight because, I appreciate that we waited till all the dust settled a bit. People have really gotten it crystallized in their heads what to expect, and now we have the post-mortem talk, as it were. So I'm here for it, and welcome you, everybody. My illustrious panel members, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Dutch, how you doing, brother? I know you're going to have a lot to say on the topic. You have some ideas on what Microsoft can do to satisfy every gamer, both big and small.
Oh yeah. There's a lot that can do. It's again, as always, awesome to be in the panel. Awesome to have these fine folks to talk games with, and this awesome chat to jump into. It was a little spicy last week, but we love that from time to time. But no, awesome. Can't wait to get into the topics.
Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you being here. Obviously, it's super late where you are, so we definitely appreciate you hanging out with us. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, brother? The best voice in the business. How you been?
Oh, awesome, gentlemen.
I'll try to keep it less spicy today. But yeah, it was definitely it's something that we need to talk about because there's a lot of convoluted opinions, and I think the more we all get on the same page, the better it is as speaking to the Xbox and the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think you're onto something with that. And last, and no way least, Mag, what's going on, brother?
Yes.
You're gonna have a lot to say. Obviously, you're now infamous from the "Oh no, it's Bible the game."
I gotta tell you, if you guys want a few laughs about that whole Pentiment thing, not to be the shameless plug guy, but man, you guys got to check out the show I did with Gaz on Saturday and Dealer and Asa. The Pentiment jokes were flying for like an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it was so much fun. But anyways, it's awesome to be here tonight. I can't wait to get into this. Yes, we do have a lot to talk about, even though the show's been over for about a week and a half now. And could we all wish Wandering Dutch a belated happy birthday, everybody in the chat there?
Belated birthday.
Now that we've got him in the flesh and funky fresh and ready to go, let's all wish this guy a happy birthday in the chat, guys. So anyways, let's get into the show. Let's waste no more time.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, let's get into what has been the talk of the town the last 2 days, and that, of course, is VGC charts. Man, they're back in the news again. They're posting some things regarding Xbox, and it's. I'll put it to this way, folks. If you're a numbers person, all you have to do is just look at the numbers. Now, this was posted by William D. Angelo. He's at Trunks WD. You don't know who William is? Well, you probably should, because he is an analyst and writer over at VGC. He has his own Twitch. He's a Twitch affiliate, and also, does videos on YouTube like a lot of us do. Well, he posted something from VGC charts that was super interesting. PS5 versus Xbox Series XS versus Switch 2022 sales. And folks, man, it is it's something to be had, because even though, and you hear the sirens in the background, that's how crazy this is, because Xbox, folks, is winning. And look, here's the numbers for 2022. Nintendo Switch, 7.1 million consoles sold. That's to be expected. They just keep winning. Nintendo is Nintendo, and they have tapped the vein. That seems to be the case, as we saw with something like the Wii. Not the Wii U, because that was garbage, but the Wii sold like hotcakes, constantly in the green when it came to sales. PS5, well, they have sold 3.36 million. This is where it gets crazy, folks. Xbox Series X and S have sold 3.41 million. And they're up, folks. PlayStation is down 28.2%. Switch is down 26%. And Xbox is up. But Mag, what's up with this?
Well, Xbox is up? I thought it was done. I thought it was over. I thought we were all trading them all in. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? And then we're supposed to be proud to pay $80 more than what we're paying now for games because we're all cheap. But anyways, let me say, look at this doesn't come as any surprise to anybody, because you know what they've been doing from the start. It's something, yes, they have been a little bit more upfront this generation in terms of like their, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, confidence. Sorry, I was looking for the proper word for it. They showed a lot of confidence going into this generation, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, at the end of the day, Microsoft does not brag or boast the same way that those Japanese companies do. Let's face it, Nintendo and Sony, they have a sort of like swagger, but almost to the borderline obnoxious, like the way that's my personal feeling anyway. I find it to be very obnoxious sometimes. And I don't understand what the point is. You know what I mean? Like when you tell like these sales numbers, like, oh, The Last of Us, which is a great game, by the way, in my opinion, I loved it. Anyway, like Last of Us 2 sold 10 million. What does that make a difference to the people playing the game or the people that own the system? Like, do they have any, like is everybody a stockholder? I don't understand why they throw these numbers around. Like, I don't get it. Like, is it for bragging rights, or is it to like get attention so that people say, ooh, it sold 10 million. Maybe that'll entice more people to purchase. I don't know. Anyways, the thing is that Microsoft Xbox has been going slow and steady. But at the same time, as some people say, which sometimes I disagree with the statement, is that slow and steady wins the race. But it seems like They are. I mean, it just seems to be constantly moving forward. I don't think it's because PlayStation 5s are not available, because every time I turn around, and I've heard actually from multiple people saying that PS5s have been available, they're just not selling.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've heard this from people who are actually in the industry, and I don't mean like development industry, I mean in the sales industry, okay, are saying that, yes, they eventually sell, right, because someone's going to buy them. But remember we discussed this last year, Boom, 30% of those PlayStation 5s are still not activated.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fact.
Okay.
Yep.
It was, remember before, I mean, last year, I think it was like 50%, though. Wasn't the number higher? I think it was a little higher last year.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was like close to like 50% weren't activated. Now it's dropped to about 30% because I guess some scalpers are selling them or whatever. But the thing is, and then let's face it, like a lot of these scalpers, what they're not getting, is that they don't they're not really following what's going on. They just follow the trend of what happened over the last generation. Oh, everybody wants PlayStation and that's it. Well, clearly that's not always the case, and they're not going to pay top dollar for it because you have to have a reason to entice people to do so. And I think that the naysayers and the poo-poos and the this and the that or whatever, talking about Game Pass and everything else, producing nothing but single A and double A quality, and not giving AAA quality because it's impossible to give AAA quality in Game Pass, apparently, are being proven wrong.
Yep.
And they're being proven wrong because at the end of the day, and we've all said this, every last person on this panel, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat has heard us say it over and over and over again, that the mighty dollar will always win at the end of the day, especially when it comes to younger generation gamers, because like I said, they're not angling towards us old farts. We got money, generally speaking, right? We've got expendable income at this point in our lives, right? And so what's happening is we are able to go out and buy. Like if they drop the PSVR 2 tomorrow, I can just go to the store and buy it. An 18-year-old gamer who Xbox and PlayStation, whoever, are actually, those are the ones they are marketing because they want you for the next 20 to 30 years, right? They don't care about just today. They want the next three decades of you. So that's why they're angling for them. Those people don't have money to go out and buy a PSVR 2, unless, of course, they got a Porsche Cayenne at 16 years old from daddy, who's a Hollywood producer. But the rest of the world, and especially considering what's happening now in the world, look at like the world is basically going into a Great Depression, food shortages, gas prices are going up, all that kind of stuff. People are losing money left, right, and center. People are losing their jobs, not going to work and whatever, right? You think they're going to sit there and proudly want to pay $80 more than what I would be paying for my $15 a month subscription? No. They're going to find the cheapest way possible. And that's why, look at other things. I mean, I'm not going to stay out of the controversy about, like, let's say, like movies like Buzz Lightyear and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into that. Okay. However, a lot of people, the sentiment out there is, oh, movie looks hot. When does it come to streaming?
Yep.
Right.
So
that's what, and it's not just because they've been trained to feel that way. It's because they don't have any money because cucumbers cost $10 each. Right. So, like, you know what I'm saying? This is what's happening. This is why, anyway, the reason why I'm going on this whole verbal diarrhea about this stuff, it all makes sense in the end, guys. And what I'm trying to get at is that it all has to do with the fact that you are able to, Drawn TJ, that's a great super chat. Sorry, it totally distracted me. What I'm getting at here is that's why Xbox sales are up, because the silent majority has spoken. And what they're doing is that they're speaking with their wallets. And by speaking with their wallets and more affordability, Xbox is going to continue moving forward, which we all said was going to happen. We all saw what was going to happen. And the thing is, we will reap the benefits of this when gigantic AAA games are coming to the service from their first-party studios. Okay, now the other thing I was looking at, by the way, I just want to bring up this one thing before we pass off the mic to someone else here. I looked at Corey Balrog. God, that guy always got. I always think the Balrog from like Lord of the Rings. Anyways, Barlog. He said he made. He made that's right. I you know what? Between those three guys, I can't get them straight. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about? The guy who made God of War. He did a little cryptic tweet about God of War or something like that, right? And everybody started going wild. And then some guy in the comment section said, "Any chance it's coming to PS Plus?" Holy good God in heaven! The comments that I saw after that. Yeah. They were shredding this guy. What are you, an X-bot? What do you want? AA crap? What is it, Starfield crap you're looking for? This is AAA goodness. We pay top dollar for this. And I'm sitting there like going, Oh my God. You guys are rats on a sinking ship, and you're just looking for anything to grab onto so you don't go down with the ship.
For one. That jumps right off the page.
Boom, it's utterly ridiculous. The toxicity was beyond belief. And anyway, the point is that they just don't get it. That little subcategory of people, they're not even on my PlayStation. Like when I'm on my PlayStation, I got the friends who are on my friends list, really nice guys. Super nice guys. They just happen to be Sony guys. They're not Xbox. They're not into Xbox or anything. They just play Sony. Super nice guys. Always great for a chat. This and that, whatever. No issues, right? This is like that 5% of total idiots out there that we all know who they are, right? The thing is, they don't represent the majority, and they do not definitely don't represent the public. Because the public, at the end of the day, they're the ones that you don't even know about. Joe Sixpack, you won't know. He's not watching this podcast. He's not in the chat. He's not sending in super chats, right? He's not even listening to this show. He doesn't even know who I am or you or anybody else. They just know where the value is, and the value will continue to do it. Microsoft's plan moving forward, what they should do, their game plan, is that they need to market the living Christ out of this Game Pass situation in the Series S. I want to see it on the side of subways in New York. I want to see it on the Freedom Tower. I want to see it, flying on an airplane, across the beaches and all that kind of stuff with the little ticker tape in the background. That's what we need to see. They need to promote the living crap out of this thing so that it really takes off. And you watch the numbers then. Wait till the Riot Games situation kicks in and all that other stuff, right? Anyways, long story longer, what I'm trying to get at is that in the end, it's not just about quality. Let's not forget they won 2021 Publisher of the Year, guys. It's also about the value that they're providing, and that's what that's why they're in this situation.
It's true, and you bring up incredible points, Crispy. I want to go to you, and obviously you are the voice of the people as well, and a lot of the times money is at the forefront of someone getting into gaming, staying in gaming, or even trying something new. Look. A PS5 is $500 if you want the one with the disc. It's $100 less if you want it without the disc. Xbox has a sweet spot at $300 for a Series S, which little man is doing a great job representing next generation. That's an absolute fact. We have these numbers from VGC. Obviously, they've come with the question before. This isn't Microsoft isn't giving these numbers, but they are pretty up to date when it comes to it. What are your thoughts that Xbox is out of the big three over the course of 22 versus 2021? They're the ones that are up, and they're up significantly.
One thing I want to say is this game is awesome, and if you're an arcade lover, I
haven't even started it yet,
dude. I beat both. I beat the arcade mode.
I have to say, because I couldn't say anything when we brought it up the other day. Because I didn't play it yet, but playing with 6 people, I had flashbacks. Oh my God, it's amazing. I had flashbacks, and I'll tell you, it is very modern in its own way, and it gives you a lot of combinations you can use. And once you really get good with a character, you can absolutely trash things, which is just awesome. Just had to say that. But this is also what we could talk about here. This game, hey, it's not a AAA banger, as I hate that word as well. I know Joe really hates it, but. That's one of those things where this game is it's awesome, and it's a multiplayer game, and it's there, and you just pay your subscription, and it shows up, and sometimes you're just like, oh, this is stupid. But for some of us old guys, it's like, man, this is like arcade nostalgia. This is cool, and then it plays even better than you even imagine. That's what I'm talking about. So value proposition, people. This is why Xbox is all of a sudden starting to catch up this year, and they're going to surpass, I bet, in the next month. I would say. You look at what they're doing. I understand, and we're going to get into the other aspect of looking at the future as well, because this year we really didn't get that, but they showed gameplay for games that are going to be in a service that you pay $10 to $15 a month, and now you have options to play on mobile. You have a Series S out there, which is like the absolute Trojan horse to this generation, in my opinion. I think that thing is going to just exceed. I think at one point, once these games like really start coming out heavy, and often, and we're constantly getting some big game. It doesn't have to be a AAA banger, but it has to be a big title from the studios or something, like an Outer Worlds or MLB The Show along with it, and have those multiple games in 1 month. You're going to see people, if they're available, buy these things like nothing because it's $300. We pay $800 for a cell phone, people. You know what I'm saying? $300 for a next-gen gaming console. You could play all the games that are out there. And you're not even talking about all the cloud stuff. This is the reason. Now, possibly at a period in time, there was not PlayStations ready available. I know plenty of people in retail as well as Mag does. And yeah, they're available now and they're just not selling because you have to spend all that money on the back end. You have to spend all that money on the back end instead of $300, $15 a month. Oh, wait, it's $1 for 3 months.
Right now, up until the 30th. Yeah, it is.
So you get to download a 500 game library for $1. So you pay $300 and we'll say $20 after taxes. Okay, so you could buy an extra controller. You could buy the stick if you wanted to. I'm waiting for that to come down. Xbox, you need to get on that. You need that, the SSD to go down because that price is too much.
It's about time.
Yeah, so we need something, even if you let Mad Cats or whoever else come out with something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yep.
Give people
to add
options
insult to
here.
injury. To add insult to injury, today I almost bought a 2 terabyte M.2 for my PS5 that is PS5 compatible for $200. Basically $20 more than the 1 terabyte one still offered by Xbox.
Yeah,
it's becoming a problem.
Yeah, so I that's where we say what we got to say, man. Like, do something with that. But other than that, I mean, you look at next gen ready gaming console, $300. You get Game Pass for $50. I mean, it's just there. And with gas, what was it, $90 to fill my tank the other day?
Jesus
Christmas. So that's I have a Jeep. I mean, you look at it and say, well, it's kind of your own fault, but I also don't have the money to buy a new vehicle, to be honest with you. So it's like, well, I'm kind of at a catch-22. So, I look at that and I say, where am I going to save at this point? Well, luckily I'm already invested in Game Pass and I get games dropping in there all the time. I don't have to sit there and worry about not having a new game to play. And I think that's what people are looking at this point in time.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Real quick, I've got to thank a new channel member, Paul Drew. What's going on, brother? And he says, Boom is the best. Well, thank you for the compliment, brother. But of course, thank you for becoming a channel member. We also have quite a few super chats I got to catch up to. Thanks, Asante. John TJ, generous friend of the show, drops a $5 super chat and says, hi, guys. Who's excited for Forza Motorsport like me? Yeah, I can't wait to see what that does. It's definitely going to put Gran Turismo 7 in the corner. There's no doubt about it. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, I like the 12-month roadmap in the show, but show 2 CGI game announcements. Yeah, we're going to get into that. I don't think they have to change the format. I honestly don't. I think that the 12-month format can work. It just can't be your only show. We're going to break down what they need to do. They need a future games cast. That is without a doubt, because I understand who they're aiming towards, right? They're looking at the people and the gamers that made the PlayStation 4 break numbers unlike anyone's ever seen, right? We know they're currently at 115 plus million, and the reason why they got there, folks, isn't from the hardcore. Yeah, the hardcore bought the console. Like my brother and I, man, we're good for, between the both of us, 8 PlayStation 4s. I bought 4 myself. I bought a PlayStation 4. I got the Destiny White One edition. Then, of course, I got the Pro. Then Mrs. Boom got me the God of War Pro. I'm good for 4. My brother's good for 4. So there are a lot of return buyers.
And Slims and all that stuff later on for like 150 on Black Friday and whatever, right?
Well, I mean, there's a good chance that you could see Little Man go down as low as 250 this holiday. You know what I'm saying? It may be lower. We don't know what
I've
Microsoft
seen it on Woot.com trailing around 230 from time to time.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I
don't think 199 is out of the realm of possibility.
Neither do I. If 230 is the thing that's happening now, 199 by Black Friday is a thing.
Exactly.
I got one for you. Check this out, just for and again, I don't want to go too off the beaten path here. We keep talking about Little Man, right? Oh, Little Man, $200. What if Microsoft drops a Series X to 450 or to 400, and now you're challenging PlayStation as a whole? It was a $500 system versus the $100 less system, and it's more powerful. It would be insane. But Jordan TJ drops an additional super chat, and he says, happy birthday, Dutch. And of course, indeed, happy birthday, brother. Big Bad Mo, member of the channel for 3 months. He says, love your shows, even if I can't get them all live. Keep up the great work, Boom. And how is it going, panel? Well, thank you for the super chat. Being a channel member. Thank you for the message, brother. And yes, we are doing AO fine. We also have another super chat from Jordan TJ that says, I love it when Mag gets annoyed, LOL. And we also have two more super chats from Jordan TJ. Thank you, brother. You really are incredibly generous. He says, those people roasting that guy, they're the rats in in Pentiment. Oh,
my dear Lord. By the way, you know what? Speaking of Pentiment, guys, people in the chat, do me a favor. If you want to see me, when that game comes out, if you want to see me stream that game live from start to finish, put a 1 in the chat. Sorry, go on. Go on.
That's all right. And Jordan TJ drops an additional super chat of $2. Says, I want Ubisoft Plus in Game Pass, the full version. Yeah, I think that's coming. I honestly think the reason it hasn't launched is because Microsoft and Ubisoft are just doing what bean counters do. They're trying to figure a way to get it in there at no extra cost, the same way EA Play is. I'm telling you, that's what they're trying to do.
Looks
and
like
if
you're doing
they pull that off,
yeah. Boom. One moment. It looks like your audience has spoken there, Mag. You're definitely streaming this thing.
I will. Oh, you know what? Guess what, guys?
Rival the game.
Jay Lambert accounts for like 15 ones himself.
I will stream it live when it comes out. Okay, that's an absolute promise, guys, from start to finish. You have my word. Carry on.
That'll be awesome. Continue.
if you look at the chat, I don't know, this Boomstick guy, Double Brow Gaming has put about 10 ones in there. So yeah, I'm with the people.
Indeed.
Hey, this better be a short game, okay? This is like a 100-hour RPG. I'm gonna forget it.
But you have to read it all in voices. You have to do the character voices. That's
you know what? I'll do it 100%.
There you go.
We had something coming here. We had who was it over here? Curry Louise says he has 69 ones. All right, good on you for that, brother. I love it.
Easy.
Listen, let's reel this back in, folks. We're here to talk about the numbers. Microsoft is, I said this in the green room. It shocks me, right? As a podcaster, as a gamer, as someone that keeps his ear to the floor. One of the biggest tropes that Microsoft is currently dealing with, and I want to go to Dutch on this first, is the fact that they don't have quote unquote bangers, right? And somehow or another, Dutch, they sold more systems than the PlayStation 5. Now, granted, I get it. I've seen the things. People are like, oh, well, the Series S shouldn't be counted. I'm not going to name who has said that, but if you did, you're a boob. It's a console. It's an Xbox console. Of course, it should be counted. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, okay, listen. They have half the sales of the Switch, right? The market leader when it comes to console sales is the Switch. It's been like that for. Man, I think it's going on like over 2 years. It's like 30-something months. It's ridiculous how many MPDs that they've won, how many trophies they're sitting on. But this is certainly a sign of the times, Dutch. What are your thoughts on these numbers that were delivered to us by VGC?
Yeah, I mean, obviously awesome to see. And yes, I would say Little Man is definitely making up the vast majority of that, but rightfully so. You have to think. Like the hardcore minority, because the hardcore is the minority when it comes into gaming. They're the ones buying the expensive top of the range consoles. They're the ones going out and getting
they're spending the big money on the PCs.
Yes.
They support all 3 consoles or 4 if you count PC. Yeah.
The hardcore and people might even the people in chat that say I'm casual. If you're spending any time in gaming podcasts and listening to gaming news and watching gaming news and playing games all the time and talking about games, even if you think you're a casual, you're more hardcore than you think you are. If you're a casual, true casuals aren't sitting and listening to gaming podcasts or talking about video games with their friends and things. Like every now and again, they'll come up to you and they'll ask you, oh, what's this game? And then you tell them what the game's all about. Like you get it on PlayStation, Xbox side, and the fact is the casuals don't care about what console they get. it's the money and what is the cheapest and the best offering it is that they get for their money. And at the end of the day, the one key thing that Xbox has, even us, the hardcore minority, who like us, who speak about the fact that there isn't the big Xbox AAA bangers this year, and they're not putting out from first party, etc. The casuals don't care about that. Like, all the casuals see is what games is on this console and what games can I play on this console going forward. And if you have a look at what Xbox are catering to right now and what they're getting right, is producing something or bringing something to the console that everyone can enjoy. Again, the famous trope is that not every game is for everyone, but there is a game for everyone, and that's really the mantra that Xbox seems to be playing by right now. Is yes, you might only be one game for you this year that you're really excited for, but there is at least a game on this platform that everybody likes and everybody enjoys. And I think that is really what is starting to lift, specifically the Series S, is because there's so much variance in content, there's so much variety for everybody to play. So I think that's really helping it. And again, it's that low price. You cannot shirk it.
The introductionary price, Dutch, is just, it's unmatched in entertainment.
And you know
it really is.
What's even better though for Xbox in this sense is because of the hardware shortage on the market at the moment. Even the cost of a base PlayStation 4 second hand and things at the moment, because of console shortage, is higher than it ever has been. In the past, when new consoles come out, the cost of old consoles dramatically falls, usually. But because of the shortage on PlayStation 5s and the shortage on Series X's, etc., the likes of the One X and the likes of the PlayStation 4 Pro, etc., is still maintaining that 200 plus price tag. So when they're going into a shop and there's a PlayStation 4 Pro or there's a brand new Xbox Series S, they're going to go for a new console over the older model, no matter what the difference is, because they're not looking at which one's the most powerful on paper or theoretically which one's the most powerful. They don't care about that. They just think, okay, what are the new consoles, Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5? What one's available? The Xbox Series S. I'll get the Xbox Series S. That's what an absolute casual is going to do. Is they're going to look at that price. They're going to say, $250? I'm getting that. How many games? Okay, brilliant. Okay,
but you know what's interesting to your point, and I want you to continue it. But I just saw hi, I'm Stu in the chat. First of all, brother, welcome to the program. Thank you so much. He says the casuals care about Call of Duty and FIFA, and you know what's interesting, folks, is Microsoft seems to be winning now with what they currently have in Game Pass. It's shocking to me, to be honest with you, that they continue to see, and this isn't a fluke. Hey, they win 1 month, they're down 17 months. This is a running trend, has been going for months. Kay and I talked about this on the phone. We talked about it personally, publicly. Most people gave that show that I was like, yeah, it was 8.5, a 9. Like, people are like raving, and you know what? That it was a kind of across the board. It wasn't only hardcore or only soft core or someone in the middle. It was a broad stroke, which is still shocking to me. Dutch, if they continue this trend where they're outpacing Sony, which is shocking, still blows my mind. Could you imagine when they can slap Call of Duty on the box? Oh my God, it is going to be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be ridiculous. And one thing I want to say for the UK market, I can't speak for the rest of Europe, but I know in the Netherlands, for instance, I keep forgetting the name of the shop, but Vin from our show, he messaged me all the time, and he's like, "Oh, I can get you a PlayStation 5 here if you want one. There's always one available here." There's always ones to pick up over in the Netherlands now. They just get them in that frequently, and in the UK, we get them in quite frequently now, to the point where, yes, it sells and they sell relatively quickly, but it's guaranteed really to be back in stock pretty soon. However, the issue in the UK at the moment is the vast majority of game stores that are selling PlayStation 5s are only selling bundles.
Yes.
And when you've got the economic issues like you have around the world and in the UK right now, where the cost of living's absolutely through the roof, people are thinking about how to pay the energy, and we've spoke about this countless times. When you're a homeowner or even a renter now, and you pay for the energy, that's went up almost. You're talking 3 to 4 times on your annual than it ever has been, and that's insane. Like, you're talking people who used to be paying a couple of £100 paying the best part of like several £1,000s for their energy on a yearly basis. That's something that they have to factor in on a month to month.
Yeah.
So gaming is now looking for a route of being accessible, and when you're looking at what is essentially not only a £400, £500 PlayStation 5 console, but then the bundling it up with several games, that's taking it 600, and then naturally someone's going to pick up a second controller. There's 650, 700 quid. Like it doesn't add up. So then people aren't rushing out to buy them as they were at the start. It's not like the beginning of the generation right now. It's a different economic circumstance. So when they are coming into stock, it's taken a day, 2 days, 3 days for them to eventually trickle out. Whereas at the beginning, when things were really tight, it was literally as soon as they were in stock, they're out of stock, in stock, out of stock. It was like within a minute of them being there, they were gone. It's not like that now. Like, I went on a page the other day and they had hundreds of bundles, and I checked the next day and all of them bundles were still available to pick up. And that is to me kind of weird to see right now, because you'd used to, especially if there's this chip shortage, as we know there is, you would hope for them to be selling out really quickly in the UK. You would think there would be, but again, economic differences. People aren't rushing out to spend 600-700 quid on a console. They're not, with all the left, rights, and centers. They might spend 250, 300 at a push. And at least what you're getting with that, with the Series S console, is Game Pass for a year and all the games. So it's going to save them a small fortune. They're going to have things to play. They're going to have a controller. They're good. They're all good. And all of the old controllers work with the next console. So if they had an Xbox previously, they don't have to get a new controller to play. But so yeah, it's insane. And if you add additional content like your FIFA, which of course FIFA 22 drops into Game Pass within the next couple of weeks, and then you've got the likes of, like you say, Call of Duty in the future being able to go into Game Pass whenever that kind of marketing deal finishes with Sony, whatever it is. Of course that's going to shift. It's going to shift things really quickly. I know one of my best friend, actually, he literally only ever plays Call of Duties. Like, he's never online, and when he is online, he's Call of Duty. Otherwise, he's watching Netflix. Like, he's that kind of guy, because he's a short social worker, so he's never really free. So when he does want to play something, he just wants to have a quick game on Call of Duty and then turns it off. And that's it. And a lot of people like that. So when they start getting that Call of Duty on the box or in Game Pass, he doesn't have to fork out 70, 80 quid for that cross-generation bundle that they're still looking to do this time. Which is obscene, and they need to stop that. But when that goes into Game Pass, and people don't have to fork out 70, 80, not only is the amount of players on Call of Duty going to fly up to unprecedented levels, but I think they're going to end up making more money than they ever have bundling it at that cost. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, there's a future, Asante, where we look at an MPD and Microsoft has somehow outpaced even Nintendo.
Actually, Boom, can I interrupt a second there?
Sure.
In the chat, I've just missed his name, actually. The man something, he said, I hear there's a controller shortage. Actually, that is correct. Believe it or not, my tattooist messaged me today, and I just give him an Xbox controller. Because he rang around all the game stores and there's no Xbox controllers anywhere.
Yeah, I read about that too. What's going on with
Microsoft,
that?
I have absolutely no idea. There's none. So he messaged me and he was like, if you got one, I'll buy it off you. And I was like, you don't have to buy it. Like, I've got unbelievable amounts of controllers.
Like me. I have ridiculous amount of
Dutch didn't want to feel like a scalper. That's
I've got lots of them.
You're going to start having to hoard those in your basement like they did toilet paper.
Oh my God. Listen, this world is crazy, so you just never know. But look, Asante, all joking aside, right now, Sony's in third. Sony is in third place. Now, there's going to be a lot of challenges to that. Again, we talked about it a few minutes ago. Is it because there are no consoles? Well, that's been proven wrong, because we've heard from other panel members here that actually know people who are like, hey, if you want a PS5, I got it. It's right here. It's in this store. Here's the link. I've actually seen PlayStation 5s in Target. You know what they're doing? They're sitting there. You know what I didn't see in there? Xbox Series S and X consoles. I saw the Switch. I saw the PS5. Didn't see any Xbox stuff, which is, again, I mean, it's a couple of targets that I go into. Am I the de facto, hey, they're winning? No, but we're seeing numbers put in front of us that they're starting to trend. They are starting to gain ground. They are starting to become, and again, I think what's different with this generation, okay, is when Game Pass first started, services weren't at the front of any conversation, specifically with the normies, right? You know, everyone's been paying for Netflix for 150 years, right? They know Netflix, but now everyone has minimum 10 services at one point that they're paying. And if they're even remotely into gaming, or they were into gaming, they look over and they say, what is this Game Pass and everyone's talking about? And they go and they see this plethora of games, and they have a $300 console. And you said it. I've seen it like you, as low as $230, like one of those flash sales. And I'm like, I wish I needed one. You know what I'm saying? I'd buy it right now.
And you know what? In hindsight, I wish I had bought a couple of those, because I'm trying to make some cool custom consoles and whatnot. You see that cool deal? You know, the Series S, believe it or not, is more console customizable than the X would be. I would think. And Dutch can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. More real estate right there, more flat space. You know, it's a beautiful thing. So
I mean, to be honest,
you'll see more of that.
Both the S and the X are probably some of the easiest consoles to ever disassemble, ever worked with. So easy. I mean, the S is literally a couple of screws on the back, and then that's it. Then the entire thing slides off.
Yeah, I think it was made like that on purpose. These days, that is more of a selling feature. The same. You take off the back plate, and the entire front end shifts off. It is really easy to work with, and both the S and the X have got a lot of real estate to work with. Of course, on the S, you've got the fan, but there's a lot of creative things you can do with that fan. So on the point of the numbers and why we're seeing that, I think everybody on the panel has made great points, right? There's a lot that we're seeing that is slowly shifting in the gaming industry, and if you hear the sound of my voice, chances are you're the hardcore, and they may not be speaking to you directly, but you know, even though they may not be speaking to you directly, they are still speaking to gamers by and large in all stripes. And because of that, you can see that manifesting in the amount of consoles being sold at this point, right? They seem to have taken the early strategy that when times are tough, normal people will opt for the deal rather than the prestige, right? And let's be honest, right? Even if we are in a place, some people seem to think that, Microsoft does things because they're altruistic. Others seem to point them in a corner of, they're just being malicious. You know, they're just, people think they're trying to be altruistic. They're just there for your money. Let's all assume that let's call a spade, and they're here to separate you from your dollars, right? Which is what they're all here to do. One company has made a bet that during the time where, you know, as you point out, Boom, that cream cheese costs more than ungodly sums these days. You know what I'm saying? You know, where I drive a crossover, and a half a tank of gas is $60, half a tank, right? And if that's the world we live in, one company has opted for the world where they're thinking that, hey, you consumer will be better served with giving you as much of a discount as we possibly can, show you perceived value for your dollar, and in that world, you'll be more likely to jump in, versus the other company who's saying, hey, our stuff is so prestige, you know, like movies, it's best that you go see it on the biggest screen possible, take your family, and let's charge you quadruple for every benefit of that, right?
These days, you take yourself and your kid to the movies. It's $100 a day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And remember, even during COVID, right, people were saying some of these movies are so magical they deserve to be seen on the big screen. And I'm just like, yeah, my big screen in my living room is fine enough. Thank you very much. So that's neither here nor there. You know what I'm saying? So I honestly think that we may still see a lot of fluctuations in the market when it comes to this stuff, but what we've all said seems to be ringing true here, right? Microsoft, and it also lends to the showcases that we recently had, right? Some of us have had vocal issues about it, and we'll continue to speak about it. But by and large, the polls and everybody that has been involved seems to suggest that, hey, these this time around, it was a smashing success. 80% of the people give it a B, if not an A, right? So as Dutch has said, they're literally trying to speak to a wider swath of individual than just the hardcore, right? They think they have the hardcore already in pocket, and by and large, as much as they complain, you know, they as much as we might complain, they're right. They have the hardcore in pocket, because as long as you put Plague Tale Requiem in there, I'll shut up and go play, and then y'all can deal with the rest. You know what I'm saying? As long as you put the occasional, you know, gem in there, you got me. I'll be quiet. I'll go play, and then you can keep addressing the rest of the public. So, you know, it's a difficult needle. It's a difficult a needle that they're trying to thread here when it comes to all of this, because they're trying to speak to everybody at the same time, right? And it's very difficult. All the while, they're also building up their services, right? As Mag says, you want to see it everywhere. You want to see it on billboards. You want to see Game Pass announced everywhere. The problem is, they know that by and large, right, the problem is solving, because we see Xboxes being sold everywhere, but they know that by and large, the uplift, the request to get you into this ecosystem most likely requires the purchase of a console, which not everybody's ready to do. So they give you many options. Okay, you could do it on your PC. Okay, you could do it on your phone. You could do it game, you know, and the easiest, most whiz bang option they've given you is that cloud option, which everybody goes, wow, this is awesome. But the cloud option is still not ready for prime time just yet. So they keep like speaking about it as an option, right? But that's most likely the way that people who don't have anything to do with the Xbox will most likely try to interface with it for the first time. Oh, that's interesting. Let me try it out, right? Because a console requires a huge uplift. It requires an immediate purchase, right? PC, maybe you have it, maybe you don't. If you have a PC that's capable of running games natively, chances are you're a gamer, right? Most likely you have an all-in-one or something, so you probably won't be playing games on your PC like that, right? When you get that deal and they say, hey, try this Game Pass thing for $1 for a month, you'll try it, you'll install it on your computer, and you'll see, you'll install it on your phone, and you'll see if you'll be able to stream the cloud game real quick, right? You know, so it's a very fine dance that they're doing right now, because they can't scream it from the mountaintops to play it on the cloud, because when they do, then it starts happening like you saw last Christmas, where there are lines to get in, and you don't want that. It's a good problem to have, because that means you got way more people trying to try your product, but their experience needs to be the best. And if people are waiting too long, that then also becomes a problem. So, you know, long story short, I think everyone has perfect points on this matter. I just think we need to possibly, and I'm not ready to say next year will be the solution, because next year might still also be a pain in the ass. Let's be honest. I think in 2 cycles, I think by mid 2024, this whole once every 3 at one we're sharing with you what we're sharing with you for 12 months thing will start making a lot of sense, because then they'll have a lot more studios by then. Activision Blizzard will be a well-oiled machine at that point, you know, presumably part of Xbox at that time. Hey, we don't know what the fallout will be. I see that grin on your face there, Dutch. We don't know what the fallout will be.
Well-oiled is a bit of a...
Well, well-oiled is a stretch, but I will tell you that at that point, then you know that whatever decisions have been made with Xbox, with Microsoft, under Microsoft's tutelage, right? Everything before then is kind of wishy-washy. Even the early 2023s will kind of be like, yeah, you own them, but every decision that was made before you got there. You know what I mean? So I'd say 2024, that's when you'll see what they'll decide to do when it comes to that E3-like conference. Will they have separate conferences? You know, at that point, they'll at least be better integrated into Xbox as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we'll start seeing what this all of this means. Right now, I think us hardcore folks need to just We need to keep hope alive. I think we need to keep hope alive while still giving them the righteous smoke when we think they deserve it, right? But Plague Tale is very soon, so then y'all will shut up and just
potentially tomorrow.
Potentially,
they're doing a release date stream tomorrow.
What do you mean tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow, brother.
Tomorrow.
What did I miss?
Well, apparently you missed a lot because tomorrow they're showing brand new gameplay. They're giving the official release date, and they said something to the effect of something tomorrow. Something is happening big tomorrow. So I think that game drops tomorrow into Game Pass personally, and that would be pretty dope. Real quick, Shane in the chat says many of these Xbox Series S buyers will upgrade to an X and put Series S in another room, which I did, or give it to a relative, which I did. So he is definitely onto something.
And one more quick thing. Right now, the Series S is always being considered, I wouldn't call it the wicked stepchild, but the stepchild nonetheless, because it's like, oh, it's the partner console. It's the entry-level console. It's all because we're still in the pseudo, next-gen aware part of development right now. They're all you have not played a next gen game, a real next gen game yet, and what all of that means. You haven't done it yet. And when you do, and the Series S shows you that, hey, I can hang with the big boys when we're talking about actual next gen development, you'll be surprised that wicked stepchild will become, the console that everybody wants to have, right? Because that will be the minimum requirement. That will be the floor, right? If you have a Series X or a PS5, your minimum requirement is the spec that the Series S will provide you. So as many whiz bang features as
Series S for sure, 100%.
Exactly. It'll continue to fly off the shelves. It will be much cheaper than it is even now. So when that Series S, when you start seeing development being done solely within the realm of, okay, only next gen is being targeted, instead of just using the fastest processors we have and as much bandwidth as we can use, we're now trying to offset that speed and that strength because the Series S can't handle that, right? So now we're going to develop smarter. When that happens, you will start to see the reason why they built that thing. And we still haven't seen that yet.
No. And we probably will at some point. Real quick, Gameplay HUD Zero drops a very generous $5 super chat, but this is what they said that's very interesting, both the panel and chat. Korea had an Xbox sales watch stream that reached 220,000 watchers. That's unprecedented. It also had a 1.5 million at its peak for sales. Okay, I mean, that's showing that they are now trending in areas and regions that they have notoriously failed in the past. Look, this is a great way. We got almost 400 people here. If you are new to the channel, I see a lot of new names, man. Welcome to the program. Welcome to Double Barrel Gaming. We hope that you are enjoying the conversation. We are going to continue momentarily. Real quick, just to give everyone a heads up, I had advertised that tomorrow I was going to do a Breakfast at Boom instead of Friday, because Friday, Mrs. Boom and I are celebrating our 22nd anniversary. So we're going to be hanging out this weekend with friends and family. And obviously, I'm going to spend time with her on Friday. She actually has an appointment tomorrow that we can't miss. So there's not going to be a Breakfast at Boom this week. We will revene next week on Friday at 10 a.m. as we normally do. So this will be the last show of the week. Sorry about that, but obviously, real life gets in the way sometimes. And of course, it's our anniversary. But look, let's get into this 12 months thing. Now, this has been a topic of conversation in many podcasts. I've talked about it furiously, to be honest with you, because, well, I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm a whiz bang dude. I'm a guy that likes the year of dreams. And Microsoft took that away. They took that away from me. Now, I understand seeing what's coming in the next 12 months is great for a whole bunch of people. It's great. It will be great for me. Next year's 12-month calendar, or, not 12-month calendar. Let me rephrase that. Fiscal year calendar shenanigans that they're pulling is going to be an incredible year because we're going to have 5 first-party games up front, and potentially some big ones towards the holiday season, which this is going to be the first time that Microsoft actually remembers that there are 6 months in the first part of every year, because normally they don't release their games that way. There's usually at the end of the year. You've heard Randall Thor specifically talk about that, and that's something that I hope changes. But here is where we get into the adult conversation. Microsoft does not have enough shows. That's a fact. Okay, we see Nintendo and Sony, market leaders in their own rights, do anywhere between 4 and 6 shows per year. Right now, depending on, I'm assuming that the mileage may vary based on whether you like State of Play, whether you loathe it, whether you like the Treehouse event that Nintendo does. I can't speak for you. I actually like those, and I think that Microsoft is going to find themselves in a position, right, that they literally have so many games that they're going to be forced to have these multiple shows. I don't think they need to depend so heavily on Jeff Keighley. I love what Jeff does. His last couple of shows have been fantastic, and I think that he has upped his game 10 times over when it comes to the Game Awards. And Microsoft has done some big things there, and that is a big platform. So I'm not saying, pull out of there, don't go to the Keighleys. I'm saying that, give us your 12-month show. Give us the future of the next 12 months on what we're going to get into Xbox Game Pass. So now you're speaking to a plethora of people, hardcore, middle, and new, and the normies. You're getting everyone in this show. Everyone's going to say, "Well, I can't believe what's coming to Game Pass. This is great." At the end of the day, though, folks, you gotta sell. You gotta give back to the hardcore. You gotta sell us on the future. You got to show. When you have 34 teams, which is what ultimately they will have under their banner, so to speak, you have to show the future. And again, maybe I'm being a selfish gamer here. I want to know if you're making a banjo. I kind of want to know if you're gonna do anything with Killer Instinct. I want to know if you're gonna bring back any of your older IPs that are just sitting dormant. And you can do that with a future games cast. They can make a show. Maybe you use XO to do that. Maybe you take you do your E3 in June, you do your XO in September, and throughout the year, maybe 2 or 3 times, you do a State of Play kind of a deep dive on A1 game. You show Contraband, you give us 13 to 15 minutes worth of gameplay footage. You have someone speaking up front. You have someone speaking at the end. The show can go, 20 minutes, 21 minutes, and you're in and out. And I think they're going to have so many games. I mean, like I said, right now, we know that they have over 30 games in development. 30 games right now. What happens when they get Activision? It's going to be bonkers. You're probably going to have 50-plus games in development. When are they going to show this? Are they just going to sit on their hands or hide in the closet? Well, they need to do something. I want to go first to Mag on this. Mag, this is, I know I'm going to get booed on my own show for this, and that's fine. I have no problems with that. What do you personally think about the future being removed from the conversation? Because that's what ultimately happened this June.
Right. I think this was a bit of an experiment to sort of like test the waters as a litmus test to see like how people would react to it or whatever. I do not like the idea of them experimenting with us in that respect as like, as the fans. It's like, all right, let's just try this and see how the fans react. They could have just released a poll, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? As opposed to like just doing the show and say, let's make the show experimental and see how they react. I think that was a bit of a mistake. Now, I don't really mind as much. See, hold on. There's got to be a balance. This is what I'm trying to get at. This is going to be hard for me to sort of like spit out and, make sense of everything I'm trying to say here. I don't mind the 12-month thing because let's face it, I don't have a time machine, so I'm not going to play anything beyond that. I'm only going to play what's in front of my face. So within that 12 months, people were asking me like just about a week ago, I got a ton of DMs about all kinds of stuff. And one of the things are like, Mag, you excited for Starfield? I'm like, no. And they're like, what? And I said, because it's not coming out for another 11 months. Not because the game is bad. Nobody knows that. The game could be the game of the year. I'm saying I'm not excited for it because I'm not going to be playing it for at least another 11 months. I got a whole lot of other stuff I'm going to be doing between now and then. I'll start getting excited when it comes down to like 2 weeks or 3 weeks from release or whatever else, right? And they have like those launch trailers, and that's when you start getting excited, right? Because you know it's something tangible. It's in front of you. It's basically going to be in your hands. Now, the other games that they did show, like the ones that I really liked, like the High on Life, Plague Tale, all that kind of stuff, right? I know I'm going to be playing those within a few months. So I'm actually a little bit, more excited. There's a little bit more anticipation because, you blink twice, especially when you get older. You blink twice and a couple of months just like disappear and you like that, right? So there's that. However, there's got to be a balance. And you're right, Boom. I agree with you 100% that you have to also cater to the people who got you here. You have to cater to the people who stuck with you through that Xbox One generation and all that other crap that we had to put up with and everything else, okay? We're still here.
Yeah.
And we're still buying those consoles. We are on this podcast talking about your product. I have no stake in this, okay? Other than just I enjoy playing in the ecosystem or whatever else, right? But the thing, like I'm not part of the company. I don't work for Microsoft, But the thing is, yes, they do have to throw us a bone once in a while, but here's the reason why. Now, once again, I know some people don't like that I do this, but too bad, because you know why? Because it makes sense. You have to look across the pond and look at what your competitor's doing. I understand that Microsoft's competitors are Apple and Google and Amazon, but Xbox's competitor, no matter what you say, will always be the Sony PlayStation. Sony PlayStation's playbook has worked pretty goddamn good so far, hasn't it, guys? And it has. I mean, okay, maybe lately they're not doing as great right now. They're a little bit falling behind. Fine, but overall, they have been the dominant force since they released the PS1. There is no denying it. I understand like Nintendo, the Wii, and all that kind of stuff, right? But the thing is, though, that almost seems like a different market. I'm talking about the PlayStation. The PlayStation and Xbox sort of rivalry that's been going on for about 20 plus years, right? So you look at that situation, they've been dominating this, whatever. Even the 360 era guys, at the end of the day, actually PlayStation quietly did very well. They basically almost went neck and neck with them anyway, by the end of the generation anyhow. The point is this. Sony knows how to sell the sizzle, okay? Without the steak, they still sell the sizzle, and people buy it. People eat it up. The people love it. And why? Is because their marketing is really, really good. And the thing is, they sell you on hope. They sell you on smoke and mirrors. Let's face it, a lot of it is bull crap. But at the same time, they're selling you on the hope and they're selling you on the future. If you look at situations like, for example, now just hear me out for a second, and this is why I'm bringing this up. You look at Uncharted 4 was announced 5 years before the game came out. Okay? And then they finally started showing like pictures of it, this and that. Then it got delayed 3 times or whatever, right? And then by the end of the day, it ended up being 5 years. Last of Us 2 was 6 years before from when they announced the game, from when they showed it. Did it lose any steam whatsoever? Not really.
Nope.
It divided some people because, and maybe it didn't sell so well or whatever. I mean, 10 million is considered not well when you have 140 million consoles in the wild. That's actually not very good. However, the thing is that they were still selling it. God of War, same thing. Remember when they announced God of War, even Ragnarok, coming 2020 or whatever the hell it was. We all laughed because or 2021. We all laughed because we knew it wasn't going to happen. Now we're into 2022. We don't even know if it's coming out this year 100%. Not 100% sure, right? So it's been a couple of years. The point is, the thing is, at the end of the day, the reason why I'm bringing those things up is because those games at the end, even if they announce them 5 or 6 years down the line, they've all been Game of the Year contenders.
Yep.
And that is the key. Yes, they sell the sizzle. Yes, they sell the hope. Yes, they don't have the game in front of you, and they might show it years out. But when it does come out, they have a track record of Game of the Year contenders almost every single time. It's like 98% of their games are.
Mike,
yes.
Can I be? Even though I agree with you, can I be devil's advocate on you
of
for
course.
just a minute and let you continue? Your point that you've made is absolutely true. But because you've made your point that way, doesn't that also then tell you why Microsoft doesn't play the same game? Because exactly as you're describing right now, they have earned, the competitor has earned the political capital, and they spend it wisely every year. They give you that E3 of dreams. They point to the sky and they say, one day we'll be there, and you'll be there with them because they've earned that from you. Listen to what you say. It'll be 5 years, and then eventually it shows up and it lives up to its dreams. Microsoft has tried that multiple times. And when they try it, people complain when they first do it. They complain when they don't see it for 5 years. And then they complain when the game comes out and it's incomplete. They can't follow the same game. As I've seen, or as I think they've seen, they are not able to play the same game that Sony's able to play. But when they play the game that they themselves are good at, they excel, meaning they're able to sell consoles without even having games.
Fair enough.
Right? What they're doing seems to be what they can do best. But it seems like whenever they play the competitor's game, which you're absolutely right at, which we were all cultivated in because we grew up in gaming, and who owned gaming all this time? PlayStation. So they've defined the terms, right? And they're damn good at it. So I think because of everything you're saying now, I think that is most likely the reason why they'd rather take their ball and go home, because they've realized that if they do that and they take their ball and go home, they're able to succeed by going around the beast rather than trying to play the beast's game.
But I don't
they can never win at that game.
You're 100% right, too. But here's the thing. You've got the tools and the weapons to get it done as well.
Yeah. They have the resources, man. They have resources.
They do.
Yeah.
But what does it tell you? It tells you money isn't everything, because they have all the money in the world, and they keep falling flat on their faces in certain instances.
I actually feel like it's more of a work culture reason. Actually,
possibly,
to tell you the truth, because I have a distinct feeling that the Sony brass don't put up with any crap from their employees in terms of, they're like, listen, this is going to be the best game you've ever made, or it's the last game you're ever going to make. I have a feeling there's more of that going on at Sony than there is at Microsoft.
More pressure.
Yeah, where like they give you a balloon and a badge for Microsoft just for showing up to work. Like I kind of feel like that's kind of like where it goes.
The participation award may be a thing. Yeah,
it's kind of silly, but like, anyway, I'm just being foolish. But at the same time, here's the thing. I also see, like, what you to your point, Asante, I'm looking at the situation. You remember that movie Swingers? I don't know if everybody remembers it. It's like they're talking about Jon Favreau, and it's like, look at that girl over there and whatever else. And they're like, you're like a grizzly bear with these big claws, and there's a little bunny over there, and you can't even kill the bunny with these big claws, and you don't know what to do with them. Microsoft are those giant big claws, and their competitors are the bunnies in the corner. They have the money, the power, the credit to turn out your lights, but they don't. And I mean, not that they want to turn out your lights. They need a competitor in the field, right? Because everybody benefits in the end. But my God, they can play the same game. And they have the resources to play the same game. And I just don't understand how they can't execute. That's the thing at the end of the day. You had Halo worked for years and years and years and years and years. And Infinite is an incomplete. I mean, it plays well, but I mean, if you look at the grand scheme of it, it is utterly ridiculous how this game is not put together
in the form it is right now.
It is so absolutely sad that they can't get this together. And I just don't understand it. Like, they have, like I said, they have the resources, the R&D. They have more R&D at Microsoft than Tony Stark does in the Avengers Tower. Okay. They have stuff we can't even dream of yet. And you're telling me you can't put the game together? Come on, guys. Like, I mean, it's so, I mean, I'm not saying it's simple, but I mean, if they can do it, the other guys can do it. Then Xbox can do it, and that's where.
Also, remember what you said, Mag. Some of the reason for that is just exactly as you described, because, like, it doesn't seem like Xbox is earning their bread by making games, but it does seem like PlayStation is earning their bread by making games. Well, if their game goes sour, people don't eat, so the pressure is on to make it exactly what it needs to be.
And that's not
Whereas
a good
on
thing.
Xbox. You know, and I've said this to Everborn, but we've had this conversation before. You're absolutely right. You know, because they have endless resources, they can shoo away some bad habits, right? I've said this, and I think I've said this on the show as well. You know, if you look at their past marketing that ended up to delays. No one's denying that a delay is a good thing in the long run, but they have a AAA budget game worth of Doritos ads and fruit drinks that end up going nowhere because the game got delayed a year. If you actually calculated all that money, and I'm sure some bean counter at Microsoft has those numbers, we never will, but it's probably worth a AAA game budget worth of faux pas there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just because you have the ability to write that off and eat that cost does not mean we don't get to criticize you for why you keep doing that same stupid thing that you guys keep doing. You know what I mean? Yeah, I do hear you on that, 100%.
Yeah, and like the other thing is, like, I look at some of those studios, like I look at some of, like, even like Sony. I mean, let's face it, Sony's not suffering, okay? But at the same time, if it wasn't for PlayStation, they'd be in a bad spot, if not already gone by now. And let's face it, how did Rocky Balboa lose to Clubber Lang? Because Clubber Lang had to win that fight because otherwise he wasn't going to be able to pay his rent. Because he was in a tough spot, and Rocky was the one standing there like this, taking pictures with girls instead of training. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. He was hungry. Clubber Lang was hungrier, and that's why he won.
Exactly the point. Exactly.
Right, and that's the way I look at it. Sorry, I had to bring up Rocky 3 reference. Shout out to Thunderlips,
hey, man,
by the way.
It works great.
Anyways, yeah, and so there's that. Now, here's the thing. One last thing I wanted to say about selling hope. Look at that, and like, boom, I'm going to bring you in on this about the PSVR. Do you remember the Sony State of Play? A lot of people were like, like poo-pooing the whole thing because, it's just third-party games. Okay, you're right. But you know what that show did to me? It sold me on a PSVR 2 day one.
Yeah.
Because those games that they showed on the PSVR 2, I'm like, oh my God, I want these games right now. I want that PSVR 2 instantly. Actually, shout out to Noof Nukem. He messaged me right after, 5 minutes after the show ended, and he said, I'm selling my Oculus Quest 2 and I'm going to put the money towards a PSVR 2. Yeah. He goes, that was absolute fire.
Well, there's a rumor that Half-Life Alyx is going to be a launch title.
Not a rumor. It's fact now.
Oh, there you go.
Yep,
okay.
It's going there. A port is going to the PSVR 2. Now, see, the thing is, what did they do, Boom? No release dates. We don't know when the hell this thing comes out. No price. No, nothing. But what did they do? They sold 2 hardcore Xbox guys to go buy that PSVR 2 day one. Myself and Noof Nukem will both be lined up.
Because I'm right there.
Right there. And there you go, 3. And Asante almost guaranteed is going to have that PSVR 2 on that beautiful display of his in that house, which I really love. By the way, I still can't get out of my head that shelf. It's so perfect.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to see it all there. Right? I'm going to see it all there. And that's why it works. Oh, yeah. Okay, and now the thing is, at the end of the day, it's the consistency. And the consistency is key. Yes, I brought it up earlier in the show. Xbox won the 2021 Publisher of the Year. There was consistency for that 6 months there. And then all of a sudden, Halo Infinite dropped. It wasn't bad. I had a great time with the campaign. I had a great time with multiplayer, but it wasn't everything that it was supposed to be and everything else. And look at it now, 7 months later, and we're still like, so, you know what I mean? And so, and stuff like that. And then, of course, no first party and whatever else. The problem is consistency. So that the idea is that when and if Microsoft does decide to give us a glimpse into the future, people will be looking forward to it instead of looking at it side-eyed. And that is the key. They need to be consistent so that it gets into people's heads that that Xbox releases consistently good product, and then people will not doubt it anymore. But that's like I said, and the thing is, Sony has constantly and continuously sold us good quality products. And that's why when someone says, oh, there's a Sony first party coming out, nobody questions if it's going to be good. That's the fact. I'm just saying that's the general consensus from the public. Everybody assumes instantly it's going to be good, right? And that's because they have a pedigree of a past. This is where Xbox has got to clean that up, and then they got to look at that, and they got to be able to do that consistently for years. And then, like I said, then people won't question it anymore. And then every time someone says, "Yo, Xbox is showing a game that's coming out in like probably 3 or 4 years," but man, I can't wait to get my hands on that. And that's what they need. And so I think it's a balance of showing us what we're going to get for 12 months, and then you're going to have to consistently put out good product, and also then give us glimpses into the future once you've got the confidence of the consumers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, there's going to come a point where they're going to have too many games, literally too many games not to show future games. Like, if you look at what next June's E3, whatever it is you're going to call it, is going to be, they're going to have Activision in the bag. So they're going to have to show Call of Duty, potentially. They're going to have to show what's going on with those studios. They're going to have to show, and again, I said this before, and I want to reiterate it. Last year's show was a 10 out of 10. They showed us games coming out in the future with some CG stuff, and they showed us a bunch of games coming out at the end of the year and the beginning of this year. And that, I think, they delivered. 10 out of 10 show. They always seem to course correct because controversy. You've never heard me say, damn, that CG trailer really just ruined it for me. Why didn't we get gameplay? Because gameplay wasn't ready. So they showed something. And it was a CG trailer, and you know what? It sold me on, hey, this game is going to come out and it's going to be dope. You can build hype off of a CG trailer, or CGI trailer versus just, hey, because I there was somebody in the chat and I forgot who it was. He says that he's okay with the 12 months, seeing what's coming for the 12th month. Anything more than that, you're being greedy. I mean, I hear you. Then maybe I'm being greedy. Maybe I'm being an entitled gamer, as they call it. I don't honestly know, but I listen. It's worthy of a conversation. If they want to continue with the 12-month thing, that's awesome. And next year's 12-month story is going to be a lot better than this year's 12-month story, because we know that they have 5 big games coming out in the first half of that 12 months. We don't know what's going to be coming out on the back end of those 6 months, right? And I'm sure we could get a holiday game like a Hellblade. We could get a holiday game like Avowed. We don't know, right? We don't know. I would like for them to tell us if, in fact, that is the case. Crispy, let's bring you in on the conversation here. What are your thoughts on Microsoft not currently having enough shows? Are we on to something? Are we being entitled gamers, or do you want to see them potentially pull out, a State of Play-esque for Xbox, or a Treehouse event, like doing what Nintendo does to great success?
Boom! I kind of brought this up last week. Remember?
Yep.
I mean, do we want that? And that's why I was legitimately asking that to every gamer in the chat and everything else last week, and I'll ask it again. Do we want a State of Play? I say I'm for it, but the thing is, and this is where I break it down in my head at this point. I gave this year's a little lesser of the score. I got wowed a lot more last year, but we all came out of that and gave it really good scores last year, but we all just about said we wanted more gameplay. Now, what does gameplay require? That requires the game to be nearly done. Okay? So they went about it probably more than we wanted, but at the end of the day, I still gave it a 9 because I was like, they kind of did what I wanted, and that requires them to have the game nearly done. So 12 months makes total sense. So I look at this and I say, we got a lot of things to think about. We got a lot of things to think about, and it's
Baby, we have
a little
40 minutes
interesting.
left of the show. Have a snack. I mean, we can have you want, we can have something afterwards and put on the movie. Okay.
Boom, you weren't muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Poor
Continue.
Mrs. Boom wasn't feeling good. I was just checking on her. I thought I was muted. All right. Anyway, that's real life, folks.
Yes. Yeah, that's real life. The fact is that there's a lot to think about. Do we want State of Play style games? I say go for it. And I'm not talking like, this show where you add a bunch of other stuff. No, one game. So, go to January, you're going to release it in March, Starfield. Give us another State of Play style thing. Call it whatever you want. I don't care. You know what I mean? And do that and say it's just about Starfield. And, because there's so many gaming podcasts, everything else, if it looks good, if it looks the way it should, way we expect, and you break it down really well, we are going to praise it. You know what I'm saying? And then that gives us a talking point up until it comes out, rather than, going almost a year later and then we're talking about it again and we don't have really anything there in front of us. No, not to say they won't put a tweet out, something like that, a little gameplay here and there. No, you can do a little show real quick. So I'm for that. I really am. But how do you go about the showcase? Because we don't want that to go away. You know what I mean? We want that E3 style. You mix them up. You do what you did last year and add a little more gameplay. You know what I'm saying? You added maybe too much gameplay this time. Okay, find that balance. That's what I ask you. Because, like once it got the Horizon, last year, we were like, oh, this is good. We like this gameplay. You know what I'm saying? And that was where we were kind of like, oh, we could have used a little more from some of these other games. So you just got to find that balance, the future, the far future and the near future. And I think if they do that, I think they could deliver something really special that will like blow gamers' heads off. At the end of the day, this show was well received. It was actually for some people way better than last year. And I have no problem with that because they are looking for gameplay. Most of those games are coming into Game Pass. They are like, my dollar is looking real good right now. You know what I'm saying? And I paid $300 for a console, and I got, a Plague Tale coming soon, and I got all these other games
tomorrow.
You know what I'm saying? I got all these other games that are trickling in. They showed, if you didn't watch the other showcase, the extended, I mean, that little Stalker 2 snippet, they voiced it over. So it's not in Ukrainian.
Right.
They voiced it. That made me super excited. I'm sorry. Like, cause I just don't want to sit there and read. Like, I'm sure there's going to be reading parts, but as long as like, there's more voicing than just, a different language, I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't, I barely learned Spanish when I was a kid. I'm sorry. So it's one of those things, like it made me more excited, and it might've been the simplest little thing, but now I'm like, oh, I can play this game. Like, even if I have to read something, I'm good with that. I can't be reading the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So whatever they did, I kudos them for that. So, I mean, they've shown like little tidbits of stuff, but I feel like some of these games actually really deserve like their own little, 15 minutes.
I absolutely
of thing.
agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I've said this before, and something, Matt Booty was quoted in saying at the event that they literally have so many games coming, right, that they're having trouble, setting up when they're going to release. And he's probably right. I mean, no one knows more than he does. But here's the thing. On to what you're saying, Crispy. You're making a whole lot of sense. There are going to be games that deserve their own little spotlight. And what they've done to great success is for 2 years running, they had a secondary show. Now, this year's show wasn't as good as last year's show. But this show was good. I quite enjoyed it. We covered it live. But the truth of the matter is this, folks. When you see these games starting to pile up, I don't want to see a smaller studio that has something super special get its lunch eaten by a big AAA $50 million, $500 million game. And Microsoft can remedy that by simply having enough shows that everyone gets the shine. Everyone gets the spotlight.
Yeah, and that's something. There we go. Xbox Spotlight.
Yeah,
that's Stalker 2, Xbox Spotlight, Starfield. There you go.
Yeah, good stuff.
There you go. Did we sell it to you? I mean, somebody from Xbox is watching. Come on. Xbox Spotlight. Just put the name of the game. Bam, done. All right. 15 minutes, mostly gameplay, explaining the game, some of the new elements, maybe if it's a sequel, stuff like that. Go into that. Use your showcase, give us future, near future. Do it the way you did last year. A little more gameplay, but not just going 12 months, because we understand a game's got to be able to be ready to be shown in gameplay. So, find that happy medium, please, because you're so close. Like, it really, like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, like, you could literally make the perfect show every time if you just find this formula, and whatever formula that is, and it works, just stick to it, please, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Like I said, it's last year's show was perfection. And this year's show, pretty good. Like I said, we're going to be eating good, especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber. But, they definitely need to find that perfect, line where they're not tipping off to the left too much or tipping off to the right where they got. And again, they can broad stroke it if they want. They could easily give the hardcore what we want, but also bring in the normies, bring in the casual gamers who only buy a box for a Call of Duty or a FIFA or a Madden or an NBA 2K, whatever. Let's bring you into the conversation here. But before I do, Sir X-Man drops a $2 super chat and says, Microsoft thinks far too into the future. I mean, I guess I don't think they think they thinking into the future is one thing. Letting me look behind the curtain to see, that's what I want. And if I'm greedy for it, then so be it. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Jane Foster Thor is coming to Marvel's Avengers. Oh wow, really? They're still that's
pretty cool.
That is pretty cool that they're still updating that game. That's pretty dope, actually. Thanks for the super chat. And Gamer by Choice, thank you for the info. Que Asante, we've had many talks about this. Where does Microsoft need to draw the line? Because again, they overcomplicate what I feel to be very simple. You give us some CG trailers, whether that's a separate show or in the same show, and you can still finite it way by saying, hey, Game Pass subscribers, you're going to be eating good for the next 12 months because X, Y, and Z. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't disagree with you guys that there could have been a better solution than the solution that they presented, right? There was a better solution. There was an easier solution, but although I don't necessarily agree with their solution, I do understand why they are that once bitten, twice shy type situation that they're in right now, because we've seen them, specifically them, be raked over the coals for this exact same thing, right? There's history, a lot of history. Now, obviously, context matters. They didn't have the resources at the time. Papa Microsoft hadn't opened up the wallet like they had now, all that stuff, right? But still, the raking over the coals still is the same. And to this day, people will continue to ask, where the hell is Scalebound, right? These are the things that dog them constantly. Yeah. So when you say, hey, we want more CG trailers, they go, no, you don't. No, you don't. Maybe Mr. Boomstick does, but the large swath of the world that's like, stop with the damn CG trailers. We want to see some gameplay. It's hard, man. And honestly, I think they're kind of, in this specific scenario, I honestly think that they're using the trope that you've used against them to kind of be self-fulfilling right now. They don't want to show you the future because they've been bitten one too many times.
Yeah.
So instead of going, all right, we'll get out of our comfort zone and give them what they want, they're gonna go, oh, we're overcorrecting. It's what we do, right? We overcorrect, right? But guess what? Every 12 months, they've already ripped the Band-Aid off. It's done now. It's done now. Right? And what do they inherently get by sticking to this 12-month scenario? They no longer have to play the game as we all know it. Right? In 2001 is when they joined this game. Yes, they have a franchise that predates the 70s, but still, in earnest, Microsoft didn't join gaming till 2001 with the console. Right? Before then, they were on the outskirts of it. With the console, they joined 2001. And before that time, who has been laying ground? Who has been establishing themselves? First, it was Nintendo. Then it was Sega. Then it was Sony. And they've all been following this exact playlist that we are talking about today. All of them have been following this playlist, right? And when they do, many succeed, some fail, and that's what separates the winners from the losers. Talk to Sega about that, right? What Microsoft is trying to do right now is they're going, oh, console sales is how we judge things? Well, we're done being judged by those metrics. Those are old, outdated metrics. We've moved on. Cloud. Oh, so the whole idea of being in the console game is selling the pony show to the hardcore and then trying to live up to it for the next 5 years? Screw that. We're not doing that anymore because we win whenever we just do what we do, and we lose when we do what is expected of us, which is what the groundwork that's been laid by Nintendo and by Sega and by Sony, and they've learned to do it well. Microsoft cannot do it well. They try, they fail. They just can't. But that doesn't mean they lose, because that's not the only way to win.
Right.
Right? They discovered that hey, the platform doesn't have to be the plastic box. You don't even have to buy it anymore. That's a thing that they discovered. Before then, the status quo was you buy my box, you buy my games. You have my box, you have my games. You have my box yet? If you don't have my box, you don't have my games. And now all of a sudden that's blown out wide open. So as much as I'm with you and I'm with the gaming, the hardcore gaming contingent when I say I want them to play the established game well, right? Because we want that competition. I want their version of that well. I do understand that they may not ever be capable of playing that game well. And as long as it leads to new innovations, like, hey, now we have xCloud, Game Pass, we have all these other things that all came from them going, you know what? We're not playing the established game anymore. Let's go off the beaten path and do what we do best, right? That's what brought these initiatives all about that we now love so much. So if them not playing the let's play and when I say the pony show, I just mean the song and dance. I don't mean the pejorative pony.
Derogatory, of course.
Please forgive me. I don't mean the mag pony.
No, that was
pony
great.
Show.
That was great.
They don't want to play that game anymore because they will lose at that game. Sony's always better at that game. Right?
Yeah.
They're always better at that game. They can sell you on, right? It wasn't even at the Sony show when you learned that the next Final Fantasy that's not going to be on Xbox is going to be a PlayStation exclusive. They can't reproduce that magic. They just can't. What are they going to do? Who are they going to pay to be like, oh, the next name your amazing game is coming directly to Xbox? Nobody does that. But still, on the Sony side, when there's another show going on that has nothing to do with that first party, they are still getting W's from third parties. That's a Sony thing they can only do because Sony has earned the political capital. They can spend it whenever they want. You know what I mean? They get to be the way they are because they've earned that. Microsoft gets to either play the game and exceed at it, or they get to decide, you know what, we're not going to exceed at this game, so let's just circumvent them. And that's what I think they're doing now. You know, do I think it's great? Not today, I don't. But I do commend them for trying to do something different because every time they've tried to do something different, it's led to very interesting innovations in this space. And I hope this does as well. You know, I hate to say it, but I'm reserving ultimate judgment on whether this was a good move or not until after I see it the next round. You know, right now I'm just kind of weary. Game Pass will be great. There's a bunch of games to play. You know, this is not their main show. And we've even, like you said, we've even heard people talking about, you know, the many of their leadership going, hey, we don't even know how to announce many of these games. Yeah, because they have not been announcing any games, right? So as far as, quickly to your question as to, do they need more shows? 100% they need more shows. 100%. And I think they know that. Because what are they going to do? They're going to compound the name even further. It went from the Xbox showcase to the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Now it'll be the Xbox Bethesda Activision Blizzard King showcase. Forget about it. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be ridiculous. I honestly foresee a world where when the integration is complete, you will see a Game Pass mobile showcase, which will be probably led by King, Alpha Dog, all their mobile developers. You will see a Blizzard showcase. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will have to start carving them out because each property has such many subcategories to it, right? Mm-hmm. So many different properties to it. So at that point, then you'll probably start seeing them define it a bit better, right? So the E3 like will just be for the 12 months, and this can be for this this contingent of hardcore, and that other conference can be that for that contingent of hardcore, where more can be brought out because at that point they're speaking to you and me rather than that Keeley show or the E3 like show where they're speaking to the broad audience that's excited about the next version of Minecraft. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're speaking to different audiences. I just think they decided to speak to the E3 crowd a little early, and we're all left kind of just like, you know, a little hurt by the fact that, hey, we brought y'all here. Y'all don't remember us? You know, that's where I think we're going right now. But it'll be okay.
I think we're all going to be okay. But, you know, and Dutch, let's bring you in on the conversation. One of the things that we have seen their brass, specifically Aaron Greenberg, do for a show like this is days before, sometimes even a week before, he will say, hey, man, temper your expectations because this is what we're showing, right? That didn't happen. So to use Kay Asante's term, we all thought that they were going to throw the kitchen sink at this thing for the simple fact that they had two really big bad news drops in the form of delays. not cancellations. This game's simply delayed. They need more time. Okay, no problem. I have a lot to play. I'm disappointed, sure, but we got what we got, and we got a lot of really great looking games. A lot of great. Every one of those games are coming into Xbox Game Pass, and that's awesome. But I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are, Dutch, about the future games cast. I'm not saying they have to follow Sony's playbook. They don't. They are walking to their own drum, and they are doing it to great success. But at the same time, just putting your hands in your pocket and not letting us see the future when that's something that you've done for years out of the blue kind of does sour some people. I'm not saying I'm soured. I'm saying that I like knowing what we're going to get for 12 months. I think that's awesome. But I also want to know what's past there. What's beyond that reef? What are your thoughts on this, Dutch?
Yeah, specifically around this show, for me personally, and again, these are all personal opinions. For me personally, I think this year didn't work to the same effect because I think the lack of output in 2022 really shone at the forefront there. And I think what people were looking for was what was Microsoft's reaction. And High on Life looks fantastic.
Yeah,
as
I
a
can't
2022 title. Really can't wait for that. It's high up on my most anticipated list now.
Yep.
However, is High on Life the big system seller for this year? Probably not. Is Plague Tale your big system seller for this year? As much as we're all happily looking forward to it, probably not.
Nope.
There's the thing is again, they didn't correct 2022. What I think probably would have worked a little bit better for this show specifically is 18 month. If they showed the remainder of what's coming into Game Pass 2022, yes, we don't have anything remaining for this year from our first party. However, here's a look at everything that's coming out in 23. And then 23's E3 showcase, whatever you want to call it, then focus on the 12 month. I think that would have been fine because we know 23, 24, 25, 26. There's so many games that they can showcase that will be ready to release, as Matt Booty has stated. He's got an issue finding dates or when to place any of these games because there's so many. So if that is the case, then 23, 24 and beyond, 12 months is going to work perfectly fine because there's going to be an abundance of first party to show off. However, that's not to say I think every 12-month showcase should remain only solely 12 months. I think within these 12-month showcases, if you're showcasing 30 games or 32 games, as they've done this year, maybe it's a bit more if you include all of the indies and things like that as well, have 3 or 4 of these CGI far out trailers. What's that going to do to the harm of things? If you're talking about here's X amount of games coming out in the next 12 months, and at the tail end of the show you go, and here's a look to our future, and there's like 3-4 like trailers of things that they're working on that are far out and they can't really say much more about at that time. I think that is a perfect happy medium going forward. But I think...
Will that be exclusive, Dutch? Come on. It might be exclusive, and then PlayStation, it needs to be exclusive. They're trying to avoid this,
This third part, we've said this on countless occasions now. Countless occasions. When it comes to third party, I don't care if everybody gets to play it. As long if
right,
it's in
the true
Game
exclusive
Pass,
is Game Pass. Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's as good as an exclusive as an Xbox person wants, to be honest. If they get that game and they don't have to fork out for it, that is a win. And specifically if it's a game that was never high on their priority list and all of a sudden it's in Game Pass, you go, okay, now I'm definitely going to buy it, or I'm definitely going to pick it up. I'm definitely going to try it. And a lot of those occasions, people try it for a bit and they go, yep, I'm going to buy it. Because they know third-party games never stay in the service forever. It's only first-party games that do that. So that entices more people to buy these third-party games and try them. Like, for instance, I had Battlefield 2042 on pre-order. And when I had played the alpha and then played the beta, it was shocking. So I cancelled the pre-order. And I'm glad I did, because right now they still haven't fixed that game. And they still haven't put in the effort to solve the game's issues. And this is the thing that Game Pass, for instance, will prevent people from forking out anything from 70 to £100 on some of these games
Yeah.
that come out from third-party teams, not just first-party, third-party, that release in a state that isn't what it should be, and it saves them money. But at the same time, they also got to experience that game, and if they want to then make the decision to purchase it further down the line, they know what to expect. With that in mind, future shows or how many shows they should do a year. Listen, we've all had the misfortune of watching the ID at Xbox showcases over the last 2 years. They have and still need to refine that, and they need to get that away from Twitch and focus on doing that in-house, because Twitch have not done a great testament to ID developers with that showcase. It's always far too long-winded. You're talking 4 hours with something like 70 to 100 games, and then the kind of the much smaller ones they spend 15 to 20 minutes talking about. On multiple occasions on both of the ID Xbox showcases, the hosts of the show have got the names of these ID games wrong, or the developers wrong. It's honestly, it's just not well produced. And I think, first of all, if you're talking about highlighting indie developers in the correct manner, I think if they refined the ID at Xbox showcase into a smaller contingent, so even if you're saying like another 2-hour showcase that's highlighting 70 games, it can be done. Like if I'm able to put in by myself with a hand of a couple of people from the community, obviously these awesome guys on this panel kind of chipped in with their picks, etc., for a showcase that I put together and has now accumulated over 17,000 views from one person with only 15
well deserved,
followers.
brother.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
And we put 75 games on there. We did
Wow.
game giveaways. We got Aaron Greenberg involved. If I can do that, Xbox can do much better than that.
Yes, they can.
Much, much better. And the only reason I created it in the first place is because I didn't think the ID at Xbox Showcase was doing what it should have done in the first place. It wasn't highlighting the ID games as it should have been. It wasn't just to focus on look at these games. For us, when we presented that show and we've got all the guys in there, it was a case of introduce yourself, introduce your picks, let's get into the gameplay. And that's what it should be about. Let's have a look at these games, have a look at this gameplay. This is when they're coming out. And then at the end of the show, I even managed to get things that are still early in development and haven't been seen before. Like, here's a teaser for things to come.
Yeah.
That these are well in the future. And that's what ID at Xbox should be. If you're talking about these hidden gems and really highlighting these little experiences, that's what ID should be. So they've already got 2 shows. They've got your E3, you've got your ID at Xbox, but the problem is people forget ID at Xbox because it's far too long-winded and people just have stopped caring about it. One of them, I remember 2 years ago, we all watched the ID at Xbox showcase and everybody was like, I think we all stopped about 3 hours into the 4 hours. And
yeah, I was like, I tapped out after 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, done. Because it was just they were taking breaks and drink breaks and things every 2 minutes. And it was like, what is this? They were like 5-minute drink breaks and snack breaks and things. It was like, what are you doing? Like,
that's why games don't get developed on time anymore. Sorry. Get back to work, folks.
Yeah.
Are you saying that because I keep going out for lattes every 2 hours, it's a problem, boss?
Yeah, exactly. Elon Musk said, "Get back to work, or you're fired." That's how you do it.
Exactly. No, but in all seriousness, they just need to refine that a little bit more. So they have 2 shows. The problem is, there's a lot of people forget about ID at Xbox because, unfortunately, it's handed over to Twitch to look after.
Yeah,
and if I think it was done in-house and to the same level of should we say quality that the first party, we say first party, but the same level of quality that the Xbox Bethesda showcase is done by, then you'd have a lot more people tuning into that, far more people tuning into that, and far more people hyped for what's to come. This is a look to the future of ID at Xbox and all of the awesome indie creators that we've got working with our teams. And we've even seen Phil Spencer mention that they're working with over 200 Asian studios. So, I mean, where were they represented at all? in both ID at Xbox or at the Xbox Bethesda showcase. If 200 studios you're working with within Asia, just Asia alone, that's not including India, we've got a whole bunch of developers over there that are working for content for Xbox. None of these were represented, and that's another thing. So they've got 2 shows. What they need to have, really, I think, and we know that at the Keeleys we're probably going to get Hellblade info because it seems to be cemented to that. Thanks to Sante for proving that point there.
Hey, I didn't put it into the universe. I'm sorry.
Damn you! Not that I didn't want it. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that Keeleys will give me a release date for next fall for Hellblade, and that'll cement the fall 23.
I do think you're right. If you're gonna get a release date, it's gonna be at the Keeleys, I'm sure. Yeah. It's you know where it is, and
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the
another
game,
thing that people say. But the showed
it was
gameplay.
first shown there,
Things only get shown when gameplay is ready. We've seen gameplay for Hellblade. We have seen the gameplay. It had to be reiterated last year that it was gameplay several times. No, this was gameplay. That was actual game. It wasn't CGI. It was the game. So if that is gameplay, and if they are willing to show gameplay, which looks as good as that is, then it has to be somewhat ready to go.
Yeah.
So surely, by that logic, Hellblade is somewhere there or near. But yeah, you've got Keeleys, you've still got Gamescom. We know Xbox is going to be part of that. To what degree, we don't know. Tokyo Game Show, we know they're part of again this year. So it depends on to what instance. However, I do also agree that smaller bite-sized chunks throughout the year, like Sony State of Play or Treehouse Live, whatever Nintendo do these days, I think little things like that, kind of highlighting the games that are coming out shortly or within the year, to kind of give them a little bit more of an in-depth gameplay preview before it launches, would be very advantageous and successful for Xbox if they did that. And I don't think they'd lose anything by doing that either. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I think pulling forward and taking the reins from Twitch and looking after ID at Xbox correctly, it would be one key thing for me. But I think if you have a look, and again, we don't have anything at the beginning of the year. We've had the tail end of the year with the Keeleys and Gamescom and TGS, but you don't have anything anywhere between January and June. There's nothing. It's absolutely free. And Sony get my smoke as well, because Sony, outside of releasing the games that were delayed from last year into this year, plus Returnal, outside of, was it Returnal this year? I'm probably getting mixed up here.
Last March. March 2021.
Yeah. So outside of Horizon Forbidden West, etc., this year, that were delayed from last year into this year, and still no release date, like you say, for God of War. Cory Barlog, the thing settled that a little bit, or Balrog.
Yeah, Jesus, I can never say it right. Yeah.
A little bit with his comment as well when David Jaff mentioned we still don't have a release. Well, still, it's probably not releasing in 2021, or sorry, 22. And Corey was like, say what? So I think it's probably still releasing. We just don't have that date yet. So they're probably going to have, and we're still waiting for their first actual conference of this year. Their first,
which is rumored to be July, which is what we're hearing. Yeah,
we shall see. We shall see. But again, I'm in the same mind with Sony as well. I think what I seen from them last year was only CGI trailers of things that are coming out in the future that we don't have dates for. And what we need to see from them is, again, getting that mix right. Show us what's coming this year, but also show us what's coming in the future. And I don't think Sony's got that right either previously. I think they need to get that balance right. Their third-party showcase the other week was great. That was good fun.
Someone actually mentioned that, said, I appreciate the Sony State of Play showing me all the Xbox third-party games.
You know what it is? What we did get from that as well, though, is that, of course, we're getting Street Fighter back. That's awesome to know that that's now multi-plat again. It showcased PSVR and some first-party PSVR stuff. So even though it was third-party orientated, you did see PSVR there as well. And that sold a lot of people on that, which is great, even though we still don't have a release date and price tag for PSVR 2, which we'll probably see in the actual showcase that they do.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
It's going to have to be, because they're going to have to release give a release date for God of War and PSVR 2 launching up the holiday. And I think some of the PSVR games were slated for 22. So if that is the case, then PSVR 2 has to be launched in this year. So I mean, every company's going to be doing their own thing. Xbox, I think they're on the right track. I think it's just this year, 12-month might have been a little bit short-sighted. I think going forward, 12-month is going to be the right plan. They're going to have a lot to show off every 12-month from their first party. I just think this year it probably would have been a better idea to do 18-month and just stretch it out just that little bit further for this showcase. And in the future, keep it 12-month.
Yeah. No. I mean, again, this year is going to be a lot different from next year. Next year's 12 months is going to be, I think, spectacular because we're also going to get what we're seeing in the second half of the year. That's some future stuff. We don't know what next fall is going to be for. We have an idea of what Sony's going to have. They're going to have Spider-Man for sure. Spider-Man is rumored, and they said holiday 2023. So that's going to be one of their big ones for sure. I would imagine that Mario Odyssey 2 could potentially be one of those big ones for Nintendo. They might bookend the year next year. What they did, when Switch came out. Remember that 1 year that when the Switch launched, they had launch with Zelda and they closed with Mario Odyssey. I mean, that's a bookend. This year, Sony finds himself in a pretty good spot to bookend the year, right? Obviously, Gran Turismo, it is what it is. Horizon, it had its bugs, but the game is gorgeous. The game told an amazing story. I'm getting back at it right now. They've patched the hell out of it. Hopefully, I don't have any ridiculous bugs. But then when you look at the second half of the year, well, we already know that Last of Us remake is coming. It is a 1-to-1 remake. I don't know if I can justify, almost $80 for that game. I may just wait for a sale. The game is great, but it's literally a 1-to-1. It's not like a Resident Evil 4 remake where it's a full remake of the game where it's new scenarios and things. And then if they God of War is going to be amazing. I'm sorry to tell you, if you're a Sony hater, I hear you, but God of War has the potential to be really, really good because I love 2018 God of War. So if they bookend the year like that, that's going to be a strong year for PlayStation. Not so much for Xbox this year. I mean, Game Pass is going to definitely be the conversation, but again, folks, I'm glad we can have this adult conversation where people were actually talking and not getting into their feels about us, wanting a little bit more of a peek behind the curtain. They do have to find the balance, like Dutch said. I think that they will. But having only one Xbox show, meaning where they control the narrative, they control what is being shown, is just not enough. It is not enough for as many studios they're about to have. But, ladies and gentlemen, that has been your show. First of all, let me apologize. I didn't realize my mic was was not muted. That was probably funny to listen to.
You don't need to apologize, brother.
But listen, it's real life. Mrs. Boom has not been well the entire day, and I got to go tend to her, make sure that she is somewhat better. But listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. We had over 400 people, a lot of new names here that I saw, which is amazing. And if you are finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. I normally do 4 shows per week, and I love it. I don't get bored of it. I still find time to be a husband, still find time to do the, my the back behind the scenes stuff, and actually play games on top of that, which is awesome. But if you're already here and you're subscribed, please consider hitting the like button if you enjoyed the conversation. Let's get to the outros. The Mag, we'll start with you. We know you got to get out of here for 9 o'clock, brother.
Yeah.
What you got going on, man? And any new videos to talk about?
I'm actually, funny enough, I'm actually going a little quiet for a while because I'm actually leaving town in 2 days.
Yeah,
so
you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks. Yeah, so I won't be back till probably on this show. It'll be, I think, the second week of July. I'll be back.
Okay.
The first week of July, I'm going to be missing, as well as next week. So, but anyways, yes, I'm going to be a little bit quiet. I know that's very difficult for me. However, I did. Well, let's face it. This is the 7th podcast in 9 days.
You've been busy.
10 days.
You've been busy.
So I've done a lot of shows. I've done my tour. I've done my world tour, and now it's time to take a little bit of a break. So I'm going to take a few weeks off, folks. I will still be on Twitter hanging around. Maybe, Who the heck knows? Maybe while I'm away, something might crop up, or maybe it'll show a little interest. But either way, guys, it was a great show. I'll see you guys all in a few weeks. Chat, you're amazing. And all these new people that I'm seeing, it is absolutely awesome. Since we moved to this Wednesday night, I got to say, I've met more people in the last, what has it been now, a month or so?
Yeah, about a month. Yeah,
about a month. We've moved to Wednesday. I've seen so many new faces in the community, and it's great to always meet new people and always having a great time. So, guys, everybody have a great night. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Indeed, and thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Dutch, let's get you on ad here. It's super late where you are as well. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone about your incredible YouTube channel. Tell them about, what you got going on. You're already working on the Indie Showcase for 2023, which is madness, but we love you for it, brother. Tell them about where they can reach out to you on social media if they want to strike up a conversation.
Yeah. Awesome show as always. Really great points across the board and an awesome chat as ever. Of course, like you say, when we moved to this Wednesday, it worked out perfectly for me anyway, because it comes off the back of my podcast usually. So it's an all-in-one day. It's a double header, so it's all good. But it's been absolutely awesome again tonight. Yes, already working on Indie Showcase 2023 next year. Following community feedback, and this is what we've got to take into account. We're actually splitting the community showcase into 2 parts. You've got a summer and a winter showcase. So, of course, you will have one part of the indie showcase, and they're going to be kind of about 2 hours each way. So one in the summer, one in the winter. Going to have a brand new announcements, giveaways, developer interviews, developers involved, new game announcements, etc. across the board. Awesome community members involved, people from Xbox involved. Hopefully, I would hopefully get someone from PlayStation involved, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah. No, you never know.
But yeah, you never know. But yeah, lots of work already involved in that. It takes some time because, of course, a lot of the time is spent speaking to developers and trying to get timelines kind of in between each other, and new trailers and gameplay, and seeing what can hit and what can't hit in time for the shows and fitting them in. But yeah, other than that, you can find all of that plus my usual podcast at Wondering Dutch at YouTube every Wednesday and Sunday. Usually this week we're having a week off. Next week we'll be back though with some fancy new graphics and overlays.
Oh,
and
nice!
For our show.
Very nice.
Having a midterm refresh on the show. Get everything spick and span again for the next half of the year. But other than that, awesome show again, gents, and thank you as always.
Yeah, well, thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Crispy Bomb, tell everyone where they can find you on the next podcast, what other stuff you got going on, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. The chat was awesome. Saw, like you guys said, a lot of new faces, and we enjoy the conversation. You will get banned if you're an a-hole, so just to warn you. Some people get in their feels and you'll get kicked out for the night.
There's no reason to be mean, people. Absolutely.
Yeah. No reason. You want to talk about plastic box, go ahead, but you start getting personal now. We don't like that. At Chrissy Bomb on Twitter, Chrissy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me tomorrow night, 8 p.m. the next podcast. We got Tuesday Retro Renegades, and of course back here on Primetime Gaming, 7 p.m. Wednesday. And boom, happy anniversary.
Thank you, brother.
I hope Miss BoomStick feels better.
Yeah. She had a migraine the whole day, just knocked her on her rear.
If you want to feel old, I was 12 years old when you guys got together.
Holy matrimony. Wow. We are old. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Come on, I had to give you a little laugh. Come on.
I love it. That's great. Listen, I mean, you know what? It is what it is. That is my better half, man. That is my life. And she being a part of this dream to do YouTube makes it even more special, which is why she's always at the center of the conversation. But thank you for the well wishes, brother. Oh, Noof Newcomb's in the chat. Noof, what's going on, brother? We got to get you on here. Maybe we get you here next week, and we'll talk in DMs, brother. But thank you for the happy anniversary, Kay Asante. You have been doing incredible work on your Saturday program, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell everyone about that podcast because people need to subscribe. Let's get you past the 1,000 subs because he does a lot of good work. Him and unfortunately, everyone who couldn't make it tonight because of he got hung up in meetings. We'll get him back here potentially next week. Say your brand, brother.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been a great show as it tends to be when the brothers get in the room and start talking. It's always fun. So I appreciate everybody to be here. The Gaming Circle podcast last week was a great show. It ended up being myself and Mr. Infinite Umbra. If you haven't heard from him, if you haven't heard him speak, he has a great voice, great takes. We had a wonderful show. We were like, we'll podcast for an hour. 4 hours later, we had to hit stop. It's what we do, So we had an awesome conversation. If you haven't checked it out, it just posted online, both video on demand and audio versions as well. And that will actually lead me to TK0 Asante, my Twitter handle, Xbox, PlayStation, all places. I'm doing a bit of digital spring cleaning as of late. And why this matters to you is I have so many digital codes that I could not play them all in an entire lifetime. I've been handing out codes in DMs to friends. Hey, have you played this game? I just handed out a code to Infinite Umbra in the chat in his DM while the show was live. I have a bunch of codes. So follow me. TKO Asante. Now, unfortunately, so that you know, this will be mainly geared towards my PC and my Steam Deck users because I have a lot of PC codes. But they're older games, so it'll be very easily played on your console or even on your older PC. So follow me tonight before I go to bed. I'm giving away Fable Anniversary and I'm giving away Rise Son of Rome. You'll see them both on my
we had Rise running. It still looks. My God.
Still holds up. And on PC, you can unlock the frame rate and go crazy. A whole bunch of wonderful things. So needless to say, look me up. We'll give you some codes. We're going to start doing more giveaways as the time goes on. And we'll do more Xbox and console-centric stuff as time progresses. But it's time for some digital spring cleaning, so you'll see that from me. But, you'll see I'm sure you'll see Mr. Everborn Saga come back on the scene very soon. We're still planning a show this Saturday. It's just going to be me and him. He hasn't had his chance to take his victory lap because all signs point to his ridiculous conspiracy theory.
Are you
true.
saying that you're going to be wearing a tinfoil hat this Saturday?
Oh, I'm just going to start the show and I'm going to grab a bag of popcorn. I'm just going to let him go loose and just record it. So it's going to be interesting this weekend. So join us for an extra slanderous episode because he missed the last one. But if not, we will see you guys next week. It's always fun being on here with you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, folks, thank you so much for moving. I said this earlier when we first did. It is so difficult to move an audience that's normally used to watching a show on a Monday to Wednesday. And it seems like everyone plus new people have come over. Everyone on the panel really is unbelievable. Thankful that you took the time to change your schedule right along with ours and to be here and to make this. I mean, over 400 of anything, especially in podcasting, is something to tip your hat to. And of course, we all tip our hat to you folks for making this a successful transition. Of course, the super chats that came in are just incredible. The generosity just constantly blows Mrs. Boomstick and I away. And in turn, we are, and this is all her idea. She wanted to continue the trend with the Christmas in July. So we have taken these super chats like we normally do, and we kind of tuck them away. And we are giving away $400 worth of digital codes, whether that be for PSN and Nintendo eShop or Xbox. If you win and the pick a picture name, and all you have to do is be in the chat to do it, we will send you the code via email. If you're in another country, let me tell you something, you're still going to get it. There's so many cash apps. We will just send you the cash to make sure that you don't get shortchanged out of winning and supporting this channel, because obviously not everybody supports this channel that lives in America. So if you win and you are on outside in another country, I will get you the exact amount code sent to you in your form of currency, so you don't get shortchanged. With that said, I want to thank you again for being here. Please consider hitting the like button, and I'll close
that last super chat.
Miss
that very important last super chat. And very well brought up by our moderator extraordinaire.
Oh yeah. You know what? That's a great point. I'm sorry I didn't remember it. I had so much on my mind. Boss Mod, Lethal Papa, the best in the business. Dropped a $2 super chat and he says, pray for Looper. And if you don't know who Assassin Looper is, she is one of the community's absolute finest. She is
person.
really battling for her life right now. And if you've ever heard her on Mag's podcast, you've heard her a guest on other shows, she's as nice as they come. And it's really sad to see that she's fighting for her life. She went in for a procedure. It didn't go well. And this is where we are. So if you do follow her on Twitter, please send prayers and love as much as you can. And let's hope that she does make an incredible and huge comeback from what she's currently dealing with. Thank you, Boss Mod Lethal Papa, for that as well. But of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that is important to me. And I hope one day it'll be important to you, because this world needs it more now than ever. And that is this: treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. My pop he instilled that into me, and it made me not only a better police officer, it made me a better human being, and I'm better for it. Thank you so much again, and we will see you on the next episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.